here.
The next event on our menu today, and this is the qualification round for the Men Elite Sprint Tournament. We have 35 riders who are all going to do a flying lap. We already know right now a 200 metre flying start, a 3.5 lap warm up, and then just past the finish line, a white line. There it is. And then the fastest riders progress to the next round. The top 4 riders get a bye for the 16th final. So if you qualify in the top 4 fastest, you don't have to do the next round, and all others do sprint against each other. So this is to see them, as you always a man from Trinidad is Kwesi Brown. Of course, a fantastic track there in the Caribbean. Joe's knowledge of indoor velodromes. They do have one.
Shall update my internal database of the velodromes of the world.
She is going to do Mastermind next year, and then as a subject of the
So we get a time check at the 100 metre point. Gives us an idea of where they're at. There we go. 10-1.
The world record is held by
pointing out the velodrome at Cochabamba in Bolivia is at about 2,500 metres altitude, so altitude does play a part in times for trackside. The higher up you are, the thinner the air, so the faster you'll go for the same power output. But still, fair play to that time, 9-1. That was set back in 2019. It's always fun. A major competition is held at one of those velodromes, often in South America, high altitude velodromes.
Yeah, Mexico, Cali, and as well. Our next man on the track is Jean Spies of South Africa. It's already started. The pace is really high. Starts. It's at 10.00, almost below the 10-second mark already. Team sprints that had passed.
There you go. Any delights.
An iconic video that was. Mitchell and Webster, of course, from New Zealand. It's a good time so far for Sam Decken. We only have to see it through 35 riders to get the best 28. Also have a wonderful tradition with the likes of Firsteman, Levy, Eilers, Buttiger, etc., etc.
200 metres, why not a full lap? Why not 250 metres? Well, just a sort of a discussion that we've been having, have been tweeted by Jane on Twitter, well, X, sorry, I should say, that they've got no idea why it's a 200 metre sprint and not a 250, but worth remembering, it's only Olympic tracks, and in relatively recent times, that the Olympic tracks are 250 metres. Remember, the sport started on outdoor velodromes back in the day. Herne Hill Velodrome hosted the Olympic Games 75 years ago, and that's a 450 metre track. So it's never been about doing a lap as fast as you can. It's always been 200 metres, no matter the track length. So just sort of worth considering that point.
Thanks. Our next man is Willi Leonhard Weinrich of Germany. Fastest time so far is from the New Zealand rider. And then we continue with a rider we know, of course, Joe Truman of Team GB. And not the luckiest of rides.
Yeah, well, Great Britain getting fourth in the team sprint. And when you look at the splits, they were up against France. And France made a huge improvement in that final ride compared to their previous rides. And the final lap by Ryan Halal, I think that was quicker than anybody went in the gold medal finals. So look out for Ryan Halal the rest of this week, because he is on fire. But yeah, Joe Truman part of that team, so fourth place for GB yesterday.
He was their final rider there, Joe Truman. And there he goes for his 200 metres. A lot of support there from the crowd. Naturally, it helps.
Wow, and he's up.
Normally you would expect Joe Truman to qualify for the next lap. Let's look at the speeds there, 74.
There's a huge advantage to being the top half of the qualifying field. Well, if the top four, they get to miss a ride. So for a start, if you're in the top four, you haven't got to ride we call it the 16th finals. You go straight to the 8th finals. So that's an advantage. You're up against a slower rider on paper for your next round of racing. So the higher up the standings you are, the better. Of course, it's such a short event, there's absolutely no room for tactics, no room for holding back. It is absolutely full gas. And riders will spend a lot of time practicing on different velodromes for the best line to take in the Flying 200. So you can see here going right up to the fence using the full height of the velodrome, out the saddle, winding up the gear. This is a huge gear, so it's far more than a 200-metre effort. And here, as we come down the home straight, you want to go downhill as much as you can and be at speed already when you hit that Flying 200-metre line. He's down on Joe Truman so far, but narrowest of margins. Yeah, 9-8.
The Netherlands. And hundreds and thousands right now.
I think you're doing well, honestly.
That is the margin at the moment. This is Tijmen van Loon racing for the Beat Cycling Club. You can see the helmet collar there. One of the younger sprinters, of course. It's hard to get into the group in the Netherlands with the sprint power that is to come with La Frijse, with Hoogland. Tijmen van Loon is on the track right now for his 200 meters. It's not the fastest time for him. It's a 10.001. Tijmen van Loon, 10.001. The next rider is a man from Thailand by the name of Jai Angutasavit.
I believe he's based at the UCI Cycling Centre in Aigle. You pronounce that far better than me.
Aigle, just like an egg.
Aigle.
Yeah.
There we go. I used to say Aigle, which I think was completely wrong.
That is a bit, but just like an egg. Aigle. Aigle. Yep.
Thank you.
Eggs for breakfast. The man from Thailand, Angutasavit. It's a 10th of the time of Truman. And it's a good time, a 9.9. That should be enough to qualify for the next lap.
So yeah, one event at a time, one round at a time, one lap at a time. Keep things simple.
Third time so far for the man from Thailand. Then we continue with Japan. Always a really international event, the men's and women's sprint. This is Kohei Terasaki of Japan.
Just eyeing up his bike here, we saw a really funky new bike for one of the riders from Japan in the women's team pursuit yesterday. He's not on that funky new bike that we saw yesterday. I was hoping we might see it again on one of their older bikes today.
We call it the upside down bike with the chainring and the entire drivetrain at the other side.
Yeah, just one rider yesterday on that new bike.
It's the second time for the man from Japan, 9.7, and that goes for the riders in place at 5 to 28. The fastest four get to sit out the 16th final, so you get a little bit of extra rest there if you qualify in the fastest four.
And that makes a huge difference because we've got today there was 3 rounds of racing of that. You've then got all the rounds of sprinting, you've got the keirin coming up, you've got the kilo time trial coming up later in the week. There is a lot of bike racing to be done to win the title. So there's any chance to ever, you know, when you've got a best of 3, if you don't have to take it to 3 rides, if you get through in 2 races rather than 3, that's, you know, all those little bits adds up to a huge advantage by the end of the week.
Yeah, a guy like Jeffrey Hoogland, he is in a team pursuit. He will probably race the keirin. He is doing the kilo and the sprint tournament. So, yeah, busy days for Jeffrey. But this is Ryan Dodig of Canada. And he is just 300ths of a second off the time of Truman. So that is really, really, really close. 0.003. Look at the gearing he's pushing right there. Oh, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, huge gears for the Flying 200. It's an event where you've got, well, sort of 2 laps to get yourself up to speed before the time's going to be taken. So it's not from a standing start. You haven't got to accelerate as big as you dare. You have your coach pushing you up onto the track, which helps as well. Get a strong coach in the back straight getting you up there. And then all this time to build up the gear.
Alejandro Martinez is the man from Spain. We did have a team sprint for Spain. It's not a country with a lot of sprinting history. It's more of an endurance country when it comes to track racing. It looks like he will go under the 10 seconds as well. Oh no, he lost it in that second half of the 200. We need to sift out 7 of them. So the bottom 7 will not progress to the next round. And the bottom 4 at the moment are all 10 seconds or up. So I do think you'll have to go under that 10-second mark to
absolutely. We're going to see some far quicker times as we go on throughout this Flying 200. So our defending champion Harry Lavreysen will be off last, number 35. And just before him, Matt Richardson. Brilliant battle between them last year. So it is very much a seeded competition here as well. We're expecting faster times as we go through.
This is Rafał Sarnecki of Poland. 9:07 is still the time of Joe Truman. He had a really early start, but a really good time there. He is already qualified, Joe is. And a 9.9 for Rafał Sarnecki. So we still should have 35. Next up, we go back to Italy. And this is Mattia Predomo of Italy. And that beautiful, beautiful blue kit.
Winding the gear up again. We see some riders do this seated, a lot of riders getting out the saddle to really get on top of this gear. Seated as you come down, using that bank, using that transition to get all the way up to speed before the 200-metre starts. Time check there at 100 metres, just see at the end there. Oh, sub 10 seconds, but 8th place so far.
And we continue with a rider from the Czech Republic. Some great sprinting history with the likes of Thomas Babek, of course, the Keirin specialist. But he's retired, and this is Martin Čechman. The kit of the Czech national team has been the same for the at least past 15 years. I think it hasn't changed in many, many years. And he has started his 200 meters of flying start time trial. He will be under that 10-second mark. Yes, a 9.8. It's a qualification for Čechman. Martin Čechman just qualified for the next round, the man from the Czech Republic. Good name there, Čechman.
Yeah, that helps things.
Yep.
Let us know where he's from.
Next up is a big man and a big name, because it's Jeffrey Hoogland, multiple team sprint world champion. He always faces his rival Harry Lavreysen, of course, in the Keirin, in the sprint, but he does do kilos. So we'll see what Jeffrey Hoogland can do. They have faced so many battles together, Lavreysen and Hoogland. But this is always the last rider in the men's team sprint for the Netherlands. A man with huge endurance.
Oh, so and he's down really on Joe Truman here.
It's not really the man for the fastest starts, but a nice decision is. I do hope that they didn't have the women's junior road race jerseys here, and then the men's team sprint jerseys for the women's road race coming up this morning. Soon.
Yeah, no, there's a really funny shot of him where he's like, "Well, this isn't going on." He got it on eventually. But yeah, it was great to see them winning yesterday. We saw an interview for the interview, I think, having a little bit of a moment there to gather himself, understandably.
I remember covering the 2018 World Championships, my last Worlds, up until this day. And Jeffrey Hoogland really had to be carried off the track after winning the kilometre there on the track in Apeldoorn. He couldn't walk anymore. He was completely dead, but he took a world title there. This is a man from Hungary. It's Zandor Zaluntai. and it's a 6th time for him, and that means that he is qualified. It's a hugely international field in men's sprinting, with riders from all parts of the world, North, South America, the Caribbean, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. He's from South Africa.
I believe Hungary's got no indoor velodrome, but we'll see if anybody corrects me. Just, I mean, I'm enjoying my velodrome fun facts.
We do know that Lithuania has one. They had World Championships in the past.
They certainly have. A Track Champions League event the year before last as well.
And this is Vasilius Lendl, and is a man who's been around for a long time in the sprinting. It's a 4.8. He is he's going to qualify for the next round. It's a 4 time for him, a 9.7. Our next rider from Malaysia is Mohamed Sarom. And it's going to be a qualifying time for him as well. A 9.9. Next up is Nick Wemmies. Nick Wemmies. But it's a common name in the Netherlands as well. And as I've explained before, in the 1950s, the Dutch government actively encouraged emigration to countries like Canada, the US, Australia and New Zealand. So he might be of Dutch descent, Nick. We still don't have anybody faster than Joe Truman, but everybody just a few thousands of a second, a few hundreds of a seconds away
here.
We have
so much focus on the bikes, the aerodynamic kit, and also the actual skin suits themselves as well. And we're seeing a few different new bits of equipment used at these World Championships. Anybody that wants to use anything fancy and new for the Olympic Games, there's a certain deadline, so this is the main opportunity for riders to get equipment out there.
Another legend out on the course right now is, of course, Matt Gleitzer, the 2018 world champion in the sprint. He is a giant, and he's been around for quite some time. See if he can beat that time of Joe Truman. It's very close, but not enough just yet. All in that same range, yeah, just 0.05 of a second down. I think we've got a top 10 right now with just a 1/10 of a second between them.
Through these qualifiers quickly, so Max Dornbach already up on the track. They've everybody lined up in the back straight, waiting their turn to get up on the track. As soon as the rider before has recorded their time, the coach of the next rider will push them up onto the track in the back straight, ready to start winding up for the next ride. And he's up on Joe Truman.
He's the first one to do it. Yes, it's a 9.6, our first 9.6 on the board for Max Dornbach. We just had the fastest time set by Max Dornbach of Germany. We've got our first 9.6 on the clock, but we can go faster, Joanna.
Yeah, some very big names to come now. Tom Cornish up on the track for Australia. Silver medalist last night in the team sprint. Winding up that gear, out the saddle, hugging the fence, trying to use as much height as possible on this track here in Glasgow. That is the bell that indicates the start of the timer will be this time on the Flying 200 line.
4 hundredths of a second at the moment. Not the fastest time, but a 9.7 again. Carlin won that silver medal when Matt Kleitzer became world champion. The last time he was on the podium in the men's sprint, bronze medal behind the two Dutchmen, behind Lafrijze and Hooglands. So really a man to take into account. Jack Carlin will be absolutely zero problem to progress to the next round, but will he be in that top 4, which means that he gets to skip one round? That is of course the aim for Jack Carlin here. Hear the roar of the crowds here. The first 100 time, he is faster than Dornbach, and can he keep it up? Yes he can. We have a 9.6 for Jack Carlin, almost 75 kilometers an hour. Qualification done, but will it be in the fastest 4?
From the previous best time, he would have heard that when he was going round. It would have really helped push him on for those final few meters. Jack, of course, is well used to this track in Glasgow, Scottish rider, so much home support for him.
The amount of force there on the